Hey everybody, Techie101 here, and as you could probably tell from the title of this video, we're switching things up today. We're shifting the gears a little bit. Now, I know a lot of you are probably going to be scared, and a lot of other people are going to be angry. But don't worry, we'll get through this together, because today we're going to be talking about a character from Fairy Tail. I'm sorry, I don't know why this happens every time I say those words, but it does. It was kind of scary at first, but after a while it's just kind of mildly annoying. One Piece? Okay then, look no further for objective proof of good and evil. Okay, talking about God Serena, the strongest mage in Fiore, former member of the 10 Wizard Saints, holding the rank of number 1, numero uno, strongest mage in the land of Fiore. Keep this in mind because, at some point in the past, we don't really know when it was specified. It probably wasn't too long before the beginning of the Alvarez arc, but God Serena defected from the 10 Wizard Saints and from the entire country of Fiore and aligned himself with the Alvarez Empire and became one of the Spriggan 12, the Spriggan shields of the Emperor of the Alvarez Empire, Zeref himself. Now, I should bring up right away, though, that I do have my problems with Fairy Tail, and I'm probably going to be making a video series about that at some point in the future. I don't know when. We're not here to talk about that today, so I would appreciate if you don't bitch and moan about the series as a whole. Although, I will say, while it does have its faults, I can think of a few positive aspects of it. The two that I bring up the most often are, number one, the art style is absolutely amazing. I mean, Hiro is one of the best artists I can think of when it comes to a weekly manga series. Some of the shit that he draws is out of this world when you compare it to a series like Bleach or with Toriko. It's just on another level altogether. The next thing I will say is that he is really, really good at building hype for a character or for an event. He's not so great at maintaining the structural integrity of that character or event, but he's good at building the tension that comes with it. And look no further than God Serena. He was revealed, initially he was mentioned in the Daimento Embu arc as one of the 4 gods of Ishgard. And you see him as a shadowy character, and it's like, ooh, where are we going? And then we finally get his name and his appearance in chapter 440 called God Serena. And then not just the most kick-ass, most hype name ever. Like, you don't need anything more complicated than that. You don't need to go on and explain his battle record, how many fights that he's won. You don't need to go and explain his magic power. He has the epitaph of just simply 3 letters, God. So everybody in the continent just accepts the fact this is the strongest guy we got. I'm a little bit interested in why they don't mention him up to this point. You'd think if this was your nation's star player, he would be rather famous and that you would be talking about him constantly. But remember what Obasan said, the leader of Lamia Scale, when they were talking about it. She was like, they are so, like, powerful and great. Don't even fucking mention their names, they are so powerful. So maybe it's like, they're so revered we don't even talk about them, lest that their name might be tarnished by lowly peasants mentioning them. With that being said, he makes his first official appearance in the manga when Zeref calls a meeting of all the Spriggan 12 members. They don't all show up, but God Serena is one of them that does, and we get kind of a look at his personality. He's very egotistical, very arrogant, really loves to, like, hog the limelight and the spotlight. It very, very clearly the way that Hiro intended his character to be. I can imagine that he being the strongest mage in Fiore kind of went to his head. He does all these flamboyant gestures constantly, which I'm cool with that. I like little gimmicks that characters do like that. I thought he was pretty interesting. He does everything, he says everything very confidently and with a very kind of cool tone around it, like, yes, I'm God Serena, nice to meet you. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, this guy's gonna be a badass. Now, it's important to mention at at this point that I was expecting this shit to go south. Just because of the shit we've seen before in Fairy Tail. Like I said, Hero is really good at building tension, not too good at the payoff of that tension. He can introduce a character that's really badass, looks cool, magic seems invincible or very strong, and ends up getting defeated in the traditional Nakama power-up as everyone else. We didn't even get that from God Serena, and here's where we come with the major problem I have here. It's not that his defeat doesn't make sense. It does. It's just that it cheats us away from something that could have been so much better, considering what we find out what his magic is. We get to find out what his magic is when he fights in the war against the other three gods of Ishgard, Wolfheim, Hyperion, and Walrot, plus Jura. Jura is not a member of the gods of Ishgard, but he's ranked 5th. He's a pretty strong dude, pretty sturdy. Although Serena takes them all out pretty much with no effort, and it's easy to see why, because his magic is Dragon Slayer magic. Alright, we've seen that before a lot of times. Oh wait, no! It's Dragon Slayer magic with a twist! It's not just one kind of Dragon Slayer magic, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 7, it's 8! It's fucking 8! 8 different kinds of Dragon Slayer magic this man holds at his fingertips. You are going to be fucked from every conceivable direction. I thought that was a cool twist, because as I'm reading that, I'm sitting here being like, man, that is fucking crazy. In all the chapters of Fairy Tail, 450 plus, and I'm sure many people have theorized this before, but I never actually sat down and thought, what would happen if you start off with more than one different kind of Dragon Slayer magic? We've seen this happen before. We've seen Natsu absorb Lightning Dragon, we've seen Gajiel absorb Shadow, and all that shit, but I've never actually thought about what would happen if you put more than one Lacrima in a person's body to begin with. And why stop with just 2? Why don't you do more? I guess I just already, always assumed that, well, Dragon Lacrimas are pretty hard to get your hands on. They're not something, I mean, I think you can buy them, but they're just really fucking rare and valuable whenever they turn up. I don't know how the fuck do they just dig them up in archaeological sites? Can you make them? Like, how does this work? We don't really get a lot of information for that, but, backstories with Hero, it's kind of like whatever with that. We get them sometimes, but there's a lot of holes. Anyway, like for Loxus, for instance, it was stated that his father, Ivan, implanted the Lightning Dragon Lacrima into his body because he was like a frail kid, and that's how he got his magic power. We don't really know where he obtained it or how you get them. And then, of course, you have Cobra that has one, Sting and Rogue each have a Lacrima in them. So, God Serena, by just definition, would be considered a second-generation Dragon Slayer because he still only has his power from Lacrima, he just has a shit ton of it. So, that's the first question. How did he get his hands on all these Lacrima, and who implanted them in him? My theory on that is considering the way that considering God Serena's epitaph, not just God in the land of Fiore, but also when he defects to Alvarez, August gives him the epitaph of hybrid theory. So he's it gives the kind of implication that he's like an experiment, like kind of like patient zero, like this has never really been attempted before, or if it's ever been attempted, it's never worked. I'm sure somebody at some point has thought of the idea, hey, what would happen if we put, like, a shit ton of Lacrima into one person's body? I would assume they would probably just explode or die, but considering that Serena is the strongest mage in Fiore, maybe it was kind of like the royal family, somebody really high up in the hierarchy, perhaps even the king himself or somebody along that line was like, we're gonna create the perfect warrior for our country. Right? I mean, that would make sense. I mean, you would want that, right? And then you get a bunch of test subjects together and like, all right, we're going to try implanting these Lacrima in your body. Odds are probably 99 to 1 you're going to die, but, or you won't, something horrible is going to happen to you. And then God Serena was just one of the people that, volunteered, and the, land of Fiore turned him into God Serena with the 8 different Dragon Slayer Lacrima. That's the best way I can assume that. We're probably never going to get a backstory on him. I would not think so, but it's cool to think about it. Okay, so for the different Dragon Slayer magics he has, the different kind of elements he embodies, we've only seen 4 of them. Really, technically, only 3 that he's actually used in battle. The 4th one he started to use, and we can assume what it was going to do, but we never actually saw him use it before he was... We'll get to that in a second, but the elements that we've seen him use so far correspond to different names of the dragons Lacrima he has. So first was the Cavern Dragon, which of course is Earth-type techniques. So I'm like, alright, that's pretty cool. Haven't seen an Earth-type dragon before, this is pretty kick-ass. Oh no, wait, was there one during the invasion? No. Pretty sure there might have been one during the dragon invasion back during the Dragon Festival during the Diamento Embu arc. Pretty sure there was a stone dragon there. Okay, I take that back, sorry. But one we definitely haven't gotten, and this was a big debate that me and my friend always had. My one friend, when I was like really into Fairy Tail, there was a day where I was really into Fairy Tail, back when it was, good, back during like the beginning of the series when I was starting to watch it, like up until Tower of Heaven and, the Fighting Festival. I was really into it back then. I was talking to my other friend who liked Fairy Tail as much as we did, and we were hypositing about all the different Dragon Slayers and shit, and I can't tell you how many times we've had a discussion about who would be the fucking Water Dragon Slayer. We both thought Juvia. He always thought, it's gonna be Juvia, man. Juvia's gonna turn out to be a Dragon Slayer. Be like, nah, man, that doesn't make any sense. As Fairy Tail began to progress, I started to think, well, maybe? I don't know. Even to this day, I'm like, maybe? No, Juvia's not a Dragon Slayer, but, is a water dragon, the Neptune dragon. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm sold with this guy. This one chapter, man, chapter 470, Hybrid Theory, this was the massive fucking roller coaster. This was like the wildest roller coaster in the country, where you go up like nearly a 90-degree fucking angle, and then when you get to the top of the hype, it just flips perfectly, and then you're going down at the same exact angle. That chapter was fucking crazy, yo. But yeah, so, Earth Dragon, and then that has, obviously, Earth techniques. Neptune Dragon has water-based techniques. The next dragon we see is the Purgatory Dragon, which uses fire techniques. And the last dragon we get to, not to see the technique, but he's about to use it, is the Gale Dragon. And he kind of gets ready to release some sort of tornado, hurricane, wind-based magic, but is stopped by August at that point. So, those are the 4 main elements, and they're kind of like the 4 most main elements you'd think of, Earth, wind, fire, and air. That's, okay, well, no, earth, fire, water, and air. Okay, I fucked it up. I was trying to make a reference to an old movie that none of you people remember, and I fucked it up. I'm sorry! Okay, so earth, fire, water, and wind. There you go. Those were the elements we saw, but that still remains 4 left to be seen. Now, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, alright, he's using fire-based Dragon Slayer magic. Obviously, Natsu is the go-to dragon that can use fire, but it's not, Ignil's power, it's this other dragon, because obviously there's other dragons that can use fire, like Atlas Flame and the like, and Ignil was the fire dragon king, so I guess each element has their own king. I would assume maybe Metallicana would be the king of the metal-based, Dragon Slayer magic. Grandina was the queen of the wind-based magic, and then there's just other dragons that obey under them, And then, so, going by that logic, though, you have Purgatory that can use fire, just a different kind of fire. You can use Gale Dragon, which is a different kind of wind than the Sky Dragon's wind. You could probably have another dragon that can use some sort of metal-based one. Aside from Gajiel's iron, maybe it's like a steel one. Like, I know Gajiel's used steel before, but maybe it's just a straight-up steel dragon, or some other type of metal, platinum, titanium, something like silver, something along those lines. Maybe like a liquid version, like the T-1000. That'd be kind of cool. So steel would probably be in there at some point. I was thinking, alright, lightning, most definitely. There's probably some variation of lightning Dragon Slayer magic in there. Maybe like plasma or something like that. Some other alteration like than lightning has. So that remains, that's 2 so far. We also have poison, which I'm thinking, alright, what's another variation of poison that we can do? It's been a while since I've really seen Cobra fight. But, did Cobra ever use poison gas? I was thinking maybe that could be an alternative, like a gaseous dragon that can just spew nothing but, like sulfur or some shit, that would be kind of crazy. I started thinking more into it, and I got to Rogue. And Rogue was the Shadow Dragon. Because there's only so many elements you can take, you know? Like, okay, there's earth, there's wind, there's fire, there's water, okay, there's lightning, then there's, like, darkness and light, and then I'm like, what poison? Alright, that's not really an element, but I guess we're going with it. You know, what other kind of, like, maybe nature? Nature's something with the thing? I don't know. Depends on how you're going about this, but I look at Rogue, right? Rogue, Shadow Dragon. I'm thinking, okay, could darkness possibly be something else? Just not a straight-up Shadow Dragon Slayer, but a darkness Dragon Slayer. Because Shadow and Darkness, I don't know if they're trying... It depends on the series. Some series conflate them into the same thing. Others don't. Fairy Tail, considering the way Rogue's power worked, and then you see what happens with fucking Gajiel. It's looking like Darkness and Shadows trying to be on the new things. When I say Darkness, keep in mind I'm talking about, like, embodiments of evil. I'm not talking about just, like, straight up, like, darkness. I'm talking about, like, the embodiment of evil, something like that, which is, I think, being conflated into the same thing here. But I think the ones that make the most sense, most definitely, are going to be some metal-based Dragon Slayer magic and some variation of lightning, like maybe plasma or something like that. I think those two are pretty reasonable. The other two are more up for debate, so give me your opinion on that. Okay, moving on to the end, though, and this is going to be the big moment that I might rant a bit. I'm going to try to dial it back as much as humanly possible. Okay, so at the end of the chapter, 470, Hybrid Theory, we've mentioned it. Go read it. It's a pretty good chapter. At the end of that chapter, after, you know, God Serena, keep in mind, this was the same chapter we found out what his power is. Same chapter. At the end, Acnologia in his human form shows up. And, you know, like I said, Roller Coaster, we're like, oh shit, he defeated all three of the fucking Wizard Saints. And Jura, oh wait, they're getting back up on their feet. Oh, they're taking out God Serena. Oh shit, he's going Dragon Slayer. Holy shit, he has 8. What the fuck? Whoa, we beat him again. Whoa, fucking Acnologia's here. What's up with this shit? Fucking Roller Coaster, and then I think maybe Hero might have been getting ahead of himself. Maybe he was on the hype train too. Maybe he was just drawing all this shit like, oh man, yes, more hype, more hype, more hype. Ultimate hype, I'm gonna kill him! Wait, whoa, oh shit, wait, maybe I shouldn't have, okay, maybe that might have been a little bit too, soon for that, you know what, it's cool, we're running with it. Yeah, so God Serena gets fucking clawed one shot by Acnologia at the end of that chapter. Yeah. Now, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. Like I said earlier, I'm not upset by this because it doesn't make sense. Maybe from a storytelling perspective it doesn't make sense, but in the context of the actual, like, in-story, yeah, Acnologia is one of the highest tiered people or dragons or entities in the entire Fairy Tail universe. Of course, he would probably be able to one-shot God Serena. I don't doubt that, but to do it the same fucking chapter we find out his powers, it just drains all the tension out of the fucking situation. It really does. Imagine if, okay, I'm trying to think of a good example of this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, imagine we're in the Bleach universe. I'll just use that as a time-tested example, okay? Tried and true. You have the Stern Ritter, right? And then you find out the strongest Stern Ritter. Let's say it's Lilia, which it probably is. Lilia, I'm the strongest Stern Ritter. And then the same chapter we find out what Lilia can do. Same chapter. Aizen shows up out of nowhere and just cuts him in fucking half and kills him. Now, does it make sense that Aizen would be strong enough to kill him? Sure. But it's not the point of does it make sense. The point is you just you set this character up for grandiose statement and then it's like, oh, you just drained it all out of it. And that's very jarring, and you just don't do that. And moving on, spoiler alert, I know what a lot of people are saying right about now, but wait, Tekking, God Serena came back in the last chapter, so we're going to get to see what his other dragon elements are, and he's gonna fight again. Which is why I'm doing this video, because, you know, otherwise it would have just been I might have still done it, but it would just been like 100% rant video. But, yeah, God Serena's back now, in a chapter which, once again, is really great at building tension. But I want to let you know, just from reading the series, and you've seen this happen before, you know, that awesome badass moment where the 12 Spriggan, all the Spriggan 12 members plus Zareth are standing all together. You know, God Serena and Bradman and Wall Eekt have been resurrected, and they're standing all cool in front of Fairy Tail. If you're expecting that to have as much of a payoff as you have excitement for that scene, then you haven't learned anything from this goddamn series, have you? It's not going to, it just isn't going to end in a really exciting way. So just remember this chapter, and if you want to remember that hype, go for it, but it's not going to end in a very, very satisfactory way. Okay, I can guarantee you of that. But yeah, so God Serena's back. Now remember, he's brought back by Nineheart's magic, Historia. Nineheart even says, you guys better protect me, because if I die or I get knocked out, you guys all cease to exist. Which, dollars to donuts, that's probably how they're gonna go out. There'll probably be a fight, with God Serena, but it's probably gonna end with Nineheart getting taken out, and then God Serena is just gonna go poof, and then that'll be it. It's very jarring, I guess you should just say. It's just you give him at least a few chapters. Damn, same chapter, really? And, this is one thing I'm going to bring up when it comes to the Fairy Tail discussion I'm going to have at some point. It's just that, what do you qualify when a character dies? Like, people complain there's not a lot of death in Fairy Tail. Like me, I complain that. But then you say, oh, God Serena died. Yeah, but he came back. So it's like his death didn't really mean anything at the end of the day. It's not like he's gone for good. So it lacks tension. It lacks any sort of meaning. If they can just pop back into existence, Call me crazy, but when a death really means something, it's when that person never comes back. Going back to Bleach. Oh, and by the way, I am by no means comparing Bleach as like, look at Bleach. It's such a more superior series to Fairy Tail. I'm just using it as an example because that's what I'm most, accustomed to. I don't want you to get the idea that I'm comparing them like one's more, one's better than the other. I mean, we could have that discussion if you want, but that's not what I'm doing right here. Look at Bleach. Look at Ukiura. Ukiura died in Bleach. Ukiura is not going to pop back into existence. We know that. Ukiura is not going to come back. It's not going to be like, oh, I have the power to resurrect him and he's back again. If Kubo would have done that, I'd be like, well, his death didn't mean shit then, because he can just pop back right that. So that's a problem I have with Fairy Tail, but you know what? That's a discussion for another day, amongst other things. But what do you think about God Serena? What do you think the other elements that he can incorporate in his Dragon Slayer entourage? What do you who do you think he's gonna fight? That's a good one. I don't know. I'm assuming he's gonna fight someone like probably someone higher tier if we're going on just like I don't know how the final battle is going to play out. I don't know if it's going to be like all the wizards in Fiore or mostly Fairy Tail. I don't know how, because it's made very clear in the recent chapter. It's like a personal thing with Fairy Tail because the Spriggan 12 members have assembled outside of fucking Fairy Tail. But yeah, honestly speaking, I don't know if this is going to go down because it's probably going to be Ronkeed that's going to fight against Natsu for obvious reasons. But I would like to see Natsu fight him. Honestly, I think just the dynamic of both of them fighting and their personalities clashing, I think that would be a lot of fun to see. But it's most certainly going to be Ronkeed Dragneel that's going to fight against Natsu Dragneel. But if we have an Urza fight going on, it would be pretty damn cool to see. Probably going to end in a shit way, like I said, but it's probably going to be pretty cool to see. So, what do you think about that? What was your reaction when God Serena got one-shotted by Acnologia? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Hero was trying to give us an idea like, hey, I want to show you guys how badass Acnologia really is. And like, we didn't need to know that. We already knew. Giant fucking black dragon that slaughtered countless and then destroyed an entire island just by like yawning. Yeah, we didn't know that dude was fucking OP. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Yeah, I just don't get it there. It drains all the freaking, like, it's like, this is the strongest mage in Fiore! 8 Dragon Slayer Lacrima implanted within him! Oh, he's one shot, he's dead. Just like, it's just, I've said it like 30 times in this fucking video. But anyway, comment below. I'm gonna get going. I know I'm kind of, jawing on a little bit longer, but yeah, what'd you think about this? I love doing the theory videos, guys. I love doing discussions. I love talking about characters. Love talking about powers. Love theorizing about this shit. So, yeah, let me know what you think, and we'll maybe do this again sometime. Teching, signing out.